are places where a person feels like a guest. Not a tourist, not a traveler, a guest. A place that existed long before you arrived and will continue to exist long after you are gone. One of those places lies at the southernmost edge of Bali, where the land ends abruptly, where limestone cliffs plunge straight into the ocean, where the wind never fully settles, and where hundreds of monkeys have guarded an ancient temple for centuries. Welcome to Hop Coast. Tonight, we journey to Uluwatu, a place where legends still live alongside the modern world. A place where monkeys are not seen as mere animals, but as guardians. During the day, Uluwatu feels familiar. Tourists gather to photograph the sunset. Surfers return from the waves. Vendors arrange their souvenirs. Monkeys leap across temple walls, steal sunglasses, and make visitors laugh. But as the sun begins to sink into the ocean, something changes. The Balinese say that certain places awaken only after sunset, and Uluwatu is one of them. The temple stands atop a cliff nearly 70 meters above the Indian Ocean. Below, waves crash endlessly against the rocks. Even on calm days, the sound never completely disappears. It resembles the breathing of some enormous creature. That is why the ancient inhabitants of Bali considered the southern coast sacred. They believed that beyond the horizon lay more than an ocean. Beyond the horizon began the realm of spirits. In Balinese tradition, the sea was never viewed as merely water. It was a boundary, a threshold between the known and the unknown, a place from which forces beyond human control could emerge. For that reason, a chain of protective temples was built around the island. Uluwatu became one of the most important among them. Its purpose was to preserve balance between the human world and whatever might arrive from the vast ocean beyond. But even a sacred temple needed guardians. Legend tells of a holy sage named Dang Hyang Nirartha, who came to these cliffs centuries ago. He traveled throughout Bali, establishing sacred sites and spreading spiritual teachings. When he first saw the cliffs of Uluwatu, he immediately recognized their extraordinary power. Here he meditated, here he prayed, here he spent the final years of his life. And according to tradition, it was here that he attained moksha, the ultimate liberation of the soul. Yet the sage understood that after his departure, the temple would remain vulnerable. So his most devoted disciples gathered beside him. The legend says they made a vow to protect this place forever. Not for years, not for generations, forever. When their time came, their human lives ended, but their promise remained. And the gods, moved by their devotion, allowed them to return, not as men, but as monkeys. Thus, according to the story, the first guardians of Uluwatu were born. There is another version of the tale, older, more deeply rooted in mythology. Its origins reach back to the ancient epic of the Ramayana. The Ramayana tells the story of Hanuman, the divine white monkey warrior, protector of righteousness, and champion of loyalty. Hanuman could change his size at will. He could leap across oceans. He could battle demons and overcome impossible odds. But above all else, he embodied unwavering devotion. When Hanuman's army helped defeat the forces of darkness, its spirit did not vanish from the world. Many Balinese believe that the monkeys of Uluwatu carry a fragment of that sacred legacy. That is why they are not viewed as ordinary animals. They belong to two worlds at once, the visible world and the invisible one. Most visitors notice only their mischief, the stolen sunglasses, the missing phones, the hats, the bags. But locals often see something deeper. Some elders in Pekatu like to say, "A monkey does not steal your belongings. It steals your attention. If a visitor enters the temple thinking only about photographs, social media, or possessions, a monkey may remind them where they truly are. Of course, this is merely folklore. But on Bali, folklore often carries more weight than logic. The strangest stories, however, begin after dark. After the last tourists have gone, after the gates are closed, after the voices fade away. Then only three things remain: the ocean, the wind, and the monkeys. Some temple caretakers tell of nights when the monkeys suddenly behave in unusual ways. Without warning, dozens of them gather along the edge of the cliffs. They stop playing, stop fighting, stop searching for food, and stare out toward the sea for hours, as if watching something moving within the darkness. Sometimes the entire colony erupts into loud cries. At other times, they fall silent all at once. To scientists, there may be perfectly natural explanations. To many Balinese, there are not. They believe the monkeys can perceive beings hidden from human sight. Fishermen tell an old story. One night, several boats remained at sea far longer than expected as a storm approached. When the fishermen finally returned, they learned that the monkeys at Uluwatu had been restless throughout the entire night. The elders simply nodded and said, "They knew. They knew about the storm. They knew what was coming." Since then, many fishermen have regarded the monkeys as watchers of the sea. Silent sentinels that notice changes long before humans do. Yet the most mysterious legend involves a creature known only as the Monkey King. According to local stories, somewhere among the cliffs of Uluwatu lives an enormous old macaque, so old that no one knows his age. Descriptions vary. Some claim he is twice the size of a normal monkey. Others say his fur has turned nearly silver with age. Still others insist that his eyes seem disturbingly human. But every version agrees on one detail: he always appears alone, and he always disappears before anyone can approach him. Some believe he is the very first guardian of Uluwatu. Others say he is the spirit of one of Nirartha's disciples. The most superstitious whisper that the Monkey King appears only before important events, before storms, before change, before history itself takes a new direction. At night, the cliffs of Uluwatu become something entirely different. During the day, they are beautiful. At night, they become ancient. Moonlight covers the limestone in silver. The ocean transforms into a black and endless void, and the wind carries the scent of salt and something older, something difficult to name. In moments like these, it becomes easy to understand why the Balinese say that Uluwatu does not stand at the edge of the island. It stands at the edge of two worlds. And perhaps that is why the monkeys remain. Not for food, not for territory, not for people. They remain because someone must watch. Someone must guard the boundary. Someone must be the first to see whatever may someday emerge from the darkness beyond the horizon. And so, when the final light disappears into the Indian Ocean and Uluwatu falls into silence, hundreds of small guardians take their places among the ancient cliffs, as they did yesterday, as they did 100 years ago, and as they may continue to do for centuries to come, because some vows do not end with death, and some guardians never abandon their post. If stories like this speak to you, stories of ancient temples, ocean legends, and creatures standing between the world of humans and the realm of spirits, subscribe to Hop Coast. Many more mysteries await us ahead. Forgotten legends of Southeast Asia, hidden corners of Bali, and stories best heard late at night when the wind from the ocean begins whispering through the cliffs of Uluwatu.